trend, which you can also wear with the leopard print, is bright red.
Boy, we like red in Athens.
Is great for us who are always looking for
Right.
red. You're going to see a lot of red everywhere, and that's a great kind of brighter piece that
Okay.
you can style with a print or just wear with, a solid, and it'll
Okay.
work either way.
Good tips.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Okay, like both of us, I love red. I'll
Yes.
have to go out of the comfort zone for the leopard
I know
print,
you can start small.
I'll
Just
start
do
small.
a little piece of
Okay,
leopard.
okay, that makes me feel better. I know you have two beautiful daughters. I have two girls myself, older now though. How do you balance work life and home life?
Goodness, that is such a tough question because it is really hard. I've had to put some specific guidelines in as far as my timing goes. I work a lot from home now, and they usually get home from school at a time there's a little bit of crossover where I'm still working in their home, and I always make sure to say hello, love on them, ask them how their day is, and then they kind of go on to their activity, and I finish up my work and try to have a hard stop at 5 o'clock. So that I can then switch my mindset over to being in mom mode until they go to bed. And if I need to turn work back on afterwards, I can, but I really try to be specific in giving them the attention that they need, or if it's on my day off, going and picking them up a little bit early and just spending that time with them. And that's really allowed me to, when I'm in work mode, I'm focused and in work mode, and when I'm in parent mode and I'm present with my kids, it's not like I'm okay, hold on, I need to post this, or I need to check on this, or I'm reading an email, hold on, because that's not what I want them to remember.
Right.
And then I will also say, I feel like accepting help, and it's not a bad thing to have help in areas that you feel will better your family environment. My husband hasn't always been the cook of our family, but he kind of realized I couldn't cook and do work and raise kids, and so he was like, what if I took that over, and then you could be present with our kids while I'm cooking dinner at night? And that took communication from us.
Great teamwork.
We had to be on the same page about that, and it kind of had to be okay, let's give and take, and that might not be how it is forever, but right now it's really sweet because I'm able to play with the girls and he's cooking dinner, and it's a great time for him to kind of chill, and he's got a podcast in, just listening, and he's zoned out cooking, and I'm hands-on with the kids. So I would say just kind of figuring out and defining some of those roles. When I started Lovely Gray, I didn't have any children, so I really was able to go hard and get the business off the ground. And sometimes I think back, I'm how would I do this now if I was starting and I had kids? Because I do think you really have to be cautious and be very intentional when you are running your business and being a parent. There has to be some divide, and sometimes it's hard. But just trying to be as intentional as possible, and then just keeping continued prayer requests to the Lord that am I doing this right? Give me guidance. Should I, and just really talking with him and asking him to, continue letting you be a leader in your home and in your business.
And remembering too that every season is so different and can look totally different now that maybe one or two kids are in school, and elementary school versus middle school or versus high school, and they're at school all the time. I feel like my time here at Transfit has become more and more as my kids have gone to school more, and now they're doing sports till 6 o'clock.
Right.
It just helps to better set up, but just different seasons. So just to encourage young moms that it won't always be
hard.
So hard. It maybe it's hard in a different way emotionally, but it is very different. And God gives you just what you need for the right seasons, even if it feels like you're depleted. Many times He's gonna give you what you need.
Well, and I've even realized too, just giving yourself grace, and if you feel like this is a hard season, it might be, maybe that's a sign to step back a little bit. Maybe for me, sometimes I can very quickly be like, we need to post this, like over producing content. And sometimes I'm like, that's not necessary. Now is a week or a month where I can step back and I don't have to do that, and we're going to be okay. And leaning into those kind of pulls on maybe this tough time is trying to tell me something, and really just pray about what that is trying to tell you. And for me, it's always kind of been clear afterwards, like, okay, maybe you need to slow down, or maybe this is happening for a reason, you know. So that's always helped me too.
I think too, one, you're doing a great job, and awareness of boundaries, and that it's just hard to be a working mom.
Yeah.
I think just knowing that first and foremost, and not being afraid to ask for help.
Yeah.
Is one of the biggest things I would encourage a young mom with. Like, don't be afraid to ask for help ever.
Once I got over the like, okay, I don't have to do it all. It's okay to ask for help. But then I was so much more like, okay, I got this. Like, so.
Good. Okay. How have you used your faith to get through really hard challenges?
So I recently saw a quote. I'm not sure if you know who Jordan Dooley is. She said, sometimes God does what he hates to accomplish what he loves. Sometimes God allows what he hates to accomplish what he loves. And that really hit me hard. And in hard times, like we went through infertility before we got pregnant with my first daughter. And that was 3 years of like, why can't we get pregnant? What is going on? And we did IVF, and now we have a beautiful, almost 6-year-old. But there were so many times where I was just like, what is happening? Like, why? But knowing that God always had me in the palm of his hands, even though it felt like this terrible pain for me. And in business, there's so many things that can go wrong all the time. And there's so much that, like, while you want to control things, like, that's just not realistically how running a business works. And so I've really kind of thought about that in a lot of different ways recently. She was speaking into it in regards of like miscarriage and loss and which I also relate to, but then it just seemed like that was such a fitting way to look at, instead of being like, well, everything happens for a reason.
Right.
It's more like, well, sometimes God allows things he doesn't love to accomplish what he does love and what his true plan is. And I think we have to remember that we are sinners. You know, from the very beginning of the Bible, when sin first started, every day is not going to be perfect and amazing, and there is hardships that come along with this life because that is what was created and what is happening. But I think there's a lot of ways to just remind yourself that he has a plan and he is holding us near and dear, and even when it feels like, hey, why isn't this happening now? Or I really want to be pregnant now, or you know, all my friends are pregnant, or all my friends' jobs are taking off, or they're starting businesses and I'm not. You know, it's like he still has you by the palm of his hand.
I was reminded recently, I had a surgery last week of Genesis 50:20. It's like what, you know, other people design for evil, God can use for good.
Yeah.
You know, so he's going to use this pain and any challenge we have for his purpose if we let him.
Totally.
You know, and sharing that with others, or just and talking about it openly, because sometimes I know people say, oh, well, it just looks like your life is perfect, and like, well, actually, you know, let's talk about it.
Would you like me to tell you?
Let's actually talk about it. So but knowing, and just having, you know, 3 teenagers now, my oldest being 20, knowing that he has used the hard stuff for his good and his purpose, and I see that now. And I can use that in other situations too. And just like in the Psalm 108, where it's like, wow, God, you are steadfast, you are steady, and we can praise you because you are faithful.
Right.
So
and that's such a great great thing to hold on to.
Definitely. So how do you feel, Brittany, that mental, spiritual health are all connected?
They really are, I mean, truly connected. It feels like when I'm in my like low points mentally, or I'm stressed, or there's strain, or I feel a lot of anxiety, it's like, have I brought this to the Lord lately? Have I talked to the Lord lately? You know, and so sometimes it's so easy to get going in your daily activities, or the stress is piling up, there's work you have to do, there's all these deadlines, and it's like it becomes easy to just like push out those conversations with the Lord. Or sometimes I'll go days and I'm like, I haven't even prayed, like I've just been so busy. And then it's like the correlation kind of to me is, okay, well, no wonder I'm feeling all of this. Like I haven't even cast my burdens on the Lord, and where He says He will help us, you know, take care of all of those things. So I definitely think they are very related and very entwined. I think if you are in a good place spiritually, I mean, there's always room to grow, no matter
That's so true.
how
The Bible looks different every day.
Exactly. It can really help you just with your overall mental, you know. And I mean, I think there's obviously other things to do to help with your mental health, like taking care of your body, eating healthy, moving. You know, there's a lot of other things, but having great spiritual health is definitely a number one priority to staying sane.
Yeah. I didn't grow up as a believer, and I became a believer when I was 22. And so it still really feels new and fresh to me and exciting. And so it's just such a gift to be able to have that to cast your burdens on, because I always wanted to take it myself and try to solve all my problems myself. And so to be able to say, okay, God, like, you got this. Like, this isn't easy. But I think we have to use Him in that way, and He wants us to.
Right. Well, and it's so, I mean, how do you feel knowing, just or hearing you say that you weren't a believer until you were 22? Like, can you think back on those times where you were just like trying to figure out a situation on your own, and like what were you feeling? Just
anxiety, depression, and fear.
Yeah.
And not just thinking that I wasn't good enough.
Right.
But now there's such hope in that I don't have to do all these things on my own, and it's not going to be perfect.
Right.
So
yeah,
He's the only one that's perfect.
Yeah. Which once you kind of come to that reality, it's so freeing. You know.
Completely.
It really is.
Kind of like when you turn 40 and you're like,
Yeah.
I don't really care what people say about me. I'm going to say whatever I want. So it's very freeing. So do you have a favorite scripture that you cling to most, that you feel like would encourage our listeners?
I really love Proverbs 16:3. Commit yourself to the Lord, and He will. The desires of your heart will be, you know. Of course, now I'm forgetting the exact verse I need to.
But I know, commit yourself to the Lord.
Yeah.
He'll give you the desires of your heart.
Exactly.
That was perfect.
And I just love that so much, because like a daily reminder, like that can be said every morning. You wake up and you're like, today I want to commit myself to the Lord, you know. And it's like, okay, like it's funny. My husband, when he stopped drinking, he's been sober for 11 years now, and so when he stopped drinking, he said how he like kind of started was by saying, you know, not today. Like, I've decided today I'm not going to have a drink. And then the next day, I've decided today I'm not going to have a drink. And here we are 11 years later. And, you know, I don't think every day he wakes up now and says, you know, not today. But it was that little, like, proclamation every day that created a habit and created something in him. And so I think about that with, like, waking up to scripture, or waking up and saying, like, today I'm going to commit myself to the Lord. Like, today.
Yeah.
And holding yourself accountable to that. And then the next day, today, I'm going to commit myself to the Lord. You know, and it just, I think then it becomes just who you are.
That's true. It is. And we need that. And we need other people around us, too, that can encourage us.
Yeah.
With maybe Bible studies, or just friends that are trying to walk the same path that you want to walk.
Yeah.
Really, really helpful. So, one of my favorite scriptures, too. So, So to wrap it all up, Brittany, what would be your top 3 things you would want to tell women trying to live life fully and embrace and really celebrate their body at any age or stage?
Yeah. So I really like this idea of, one way to say it would be like romanticizing your life, and that could be as simple as, getting up and getting dressed in the morning. And even if you're staying home and, doing things around, you're getting ready, you're out of your pajamas, you're maybe back in some other type of great loungewear or activewear, but you've changed clothes. You've kind of like started your day. I also like to, if I'm going out for something, wear your cute clothes. Like, just because you're going on a quick errand doesn't mean that you can't wear this beautiful thing that's in your closet, and it kind of just lifts your mood.
Completely agree.
It gives you a little pep in your step, and then you're happier, and then the barista at Jittery Joe's is like, here's your coffee, and you're like, you know what, have a great day. Like, you're just happy.
It's very true.
I think it's so important to move your body, to care about your body. What are you putting into your body? What type of foods are you eating? What type of supplements and vitamins are you consuming that are helping support? It's so hard in today's day and age to not just eat junk, because that's what's convenient, and you have to really work at eating clean or eating foods that are really going to nourish your body. And I struggle with that too. I am like, well, it's just faster, let me just do this. Or, oh man, I haven't eaten breakfast yet, but this coffee will do, and I'll just have a better lunch. And it's like really getting in a routine and sticking to it. And I think just finding somebody who you can hold you accountable in a lot of different areas. Recently I've had a friend who we've been going on these walks, and we'll just talk about prayer requests, or sometimes we talk about, we'll call them dream walks, where we'll go and just hey, one day I want to do this, or here I have this idea, and you're my friend who will listen to me and will help me dream or help my idea come. And I'm like, can I imagine not having a friend like that? So what if everybody had somebody that they enjoyed talking with and enjoyed dreaming with, and hey, can you help me? Can you listen to me? Can you pray for me about this? Hey, I read this Bible study and I thought you would love it. Do you want to do this with me? Having an accountability partner in a lot of different areas of your life can just help you feel more fulfilled. And living your life fully is all about being the best version of yourself,
right? And
who God intended you to be and created you to be. And there's so many little ways you can implement and change those things today that can really help you get into that version of your life.
I agree. And I think it all kind of goes back exactly what you were saying to that very first part in your website where it talks about confidence.
Yeah.
And first and foremost, our confidence is in Christ and what He's already done for us.
Right.
And it's amazing. But then taking that confidence and then sharing it with the world, and that is getting up and getting dressed and fueling your body well and moving your body well and sharpening a friend and doing those things. So thank you for sharing that confidence piece with us and helping us all with that all the time. So thank you for being here today. It was so great to talk with
Caroline,
you.
This was amazing. I truly appreciate you having me on. I can't wait to listen back and kind of take some of my own advice.
That's right, for sure. Well, Brittany, tell people where they can find you.
Mostly over on Instagram at Loverly Gray. Gray is spelled with an E. And then my website is loverlygray.com. But all of the fun things we do are mostly over on Instagram.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here today. Loved having you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Yay. That was great. Thank you.